This is Steve Geischert with Parts Now, bringing you another Parts Now tech tip. Today I want to talk about an older style machine, but a real common one that's still out there. It's the P3005 series. You see them everywhere, even as of yet. And they keep grinding away. And speaking of grinding, that's going to be our topic today. The grinding noise can be so loud that if you're on the phone at the time, you have to stop. And you have to wait until it's done printing or try and get the printer to stop. People have commented that they can hear the grinding noise from the back half of the machine here, a couple doors down from where you're at. So it gets really annoying, and people will, it's not a difficult fix to do, but people oftentimes like, how do I get this fixed or get it out of here, one of the two. So let's talk about the fix. If you can do a maintenance kit, you can do this repair. I'm going to show you what it is. So on my P3005, I've got our old beat up model here. In fact, as I spin it around, you can see I'm missing my side panel there. Hopefully yours isn't. And coming across the back, let's see what it takes in order to take care of this problem. I'm going to get my screwdriver out. And taking my screwdriver, I'm going to take the back door and I need to pop it down, and I'm going to take it and give it an extra push. It is designed to do this. It's designed to pop down like this. So I take that. I've got one screw that I've already taken out over here, needs to come out. And I've got my second screw over here that also needs to come out. And once I've done that, I can then take the bottom half. Usually there's a little cover on here, so I'm going to push this through, and I'd have to pop out that cover, but then I can reach around the inside and pull out the bottom. And once I've done that on both sides, I can then, got one screw that's stuck yet. I'm going to take this guy, take him out a little bit further. There we go. And now, take it, drop it down, and slide it out of the machine completely. So back cover is off. Again, just like you're doing the maintenance kit, right? And now I need to get the fusing assembly out. To do that, first off, I have this little guide, just like in the maintenance kit. I've got these little tabs. Be gentle with the little tabs. As the machines get older, they get brittle and they tend to snap. So just a little pressure up and slide it out on both sides. Sometimes they like to pop back in again. You just go back and hit them. But as you can see those little tabs that stick out there, those little buggers, be careful with those guys. If they break, you got to replace the cover, and they are available. Next, in order to take out my fusing assembly, I've got 4 screws installed. Well, sort of. Normally I would have 4 screws installed, but Steve did a little prep here. So I would have a screw here in the corner, 1, and then another one here, that's 2. Come around to 3 up on top, and then down below would be 4. So taking out those 4 screws that I've got there, and once I've got the 4 screws out, I've got a cable connection way up in the top corner here. I don't know if you can see this guy. Take that and unplug it. So there's one, and it's usually got a cable harness, that's stuck to, so you have to untie that, but I already did that. And I've got a second cable connection right here with purple wires. Take those out, and at this point, I can take my fusing assembly and slide it back a little bit, and I forgot one part here yet, which is my power supply connection. Normally you have a cover over the top here, and that cover kind of tucks in on top, so if you pull out the bottom, and then if you slide it down, you can remove the cover that covers my plug connection. Make sure that your machine is unplugged before you do this, because you're dealing with power here, right? Let's be safe. So with that, I can pop out the connection, and my fuser is now loose. Taking my fuser out of the machine, and this is not necessarily the problem here, but it is related to the problem, and I'll explain that here shortly. Here's the gear on the fusing assembly. This is what's causing a lot of the grinding noise, although I shouldn't say totally causing, because it's not doing it by itself. It is working with other gears inside the machine here. So as I set that aside, I want to show you a little bit closer view of a set of gears. You see these gears inside here? These gears are what's causing that grinding noise. And these gears are chewing each other up. The one of the fuser I just showed you, and the ones that are inside here. And as they interface, the problem is our fuser's not sitting fully inside. And I'll explain why. But if gears are supposed to mesh tight, right? And if gears don't mesh tight, say like they run partially off the tips, what are they going to do? They're going to grind each other up and chew each other up, causing a wonderful grinding noise that we have to deal with. Well, the good news is you can replace that gear inside there. You can do just the one that's causing the grinding noise here in the back, or you can do a whole kit. If you're looking for just the 20-tooth gear that does the grinding noise, and if the rest of them are looking fine, you've got a part number of RU5-0956. So RU5-0956 is a part number for the 20-tooth gear that caused the grinding noise in here. You might also need to replace the fuser or get the gear that goes on the fuser if it's chewed up as well. Take kind of a good look at it from the side is how I kind of like to do that. So instead of looking straight on at the gear, what I like to do is kind of look at the teeth across. And if they're chewed up, it will stand out. You'll see that. You'll see it that way. If it looks like there's damage to more than one, or if you're not quite sure which, there's also a kit to replace all 4 of those gears, the ones up inside here on the top half. That is kit-gear-P3005. So again, kit, K-I-T-gear, G-E-A-R-P3005, and you can get all those. That's a Parts Now number. So that's going to take care of my grinding, so I can get those machines working and people are a lot happier because they can hear it, they can talk. Or maybe you've got a bunch of machines that are out someplace in the storage room because, well, we didn't know what to do with them, so we put them there until we're going to get them fixed. Now you know how to fix it. Now comes the most important part. And you go, Steve, we already fixed the problem. What's more important? How to keep it from coming back. That's pretty important. Where does it come from in the first place? Well, where it comes from in the first place is my fusing assembly, how it sits inside there. And remember how we talked about the gears should mesh, and if they start running off the tips, well, why would they do that? Well, you've got 4 screws holding your fuser in. So if I got my fuser back in place here, and then looking at the screws, which you can't see at the moment because they're not in there, those screws inside there, 3 of them are self-tapping. They're like wood screws. They're big, wide grooves because they go into plastic. Well, if you keep grinding new holes into plastic, sooner or later, everything shreds up and you've got nothing to hold the screw in place anymore. And if your screw's not tight in place, your fusing assembly is not sitting tight in place. And if it's not sitting tight in place, the gears over here are going to start spreading apart, and that's where the chewing takes place, that's where the grinding takes place. Now, how do I fix that? Well, obviously, tighten up all the screws if you can. Make sure your fuser's in good and tight, and then tighten them down. Remembering that you don't want to get too tight or you're going to strip out the screw holes. But what happens if you find, Steve, there is no plastic in here. I can't tighten these things down. They just spin and spin and spin and spin. What do I do? Well, there's a little trick that we learned. Great little trick from students who came to our training classes and said, Steve, you should know about this one. And I'm with them on this. This is great. What I want to do is I'm going to get myself a coffee stir stick. Just everyday coffee stir stick. And I'm going to get the screw that I need to put into the fuser. It's a self-tapping screw, and as you can see, I've got the big wide thread on that as a self-tapping screw. And I'm going to take that, and when I'm putting this back in place, I'm going to take my coffee stir stick and I'm going to put it in the hole, and I'm going to put the screw right in on top of that. And I'm going to torque it down. All of a sudden, I find that I've got something to grab hold of. And those threads inside there suddenly reform because it's got this plastic in here. You can use plastic, you can use other types of material in there as well. So whatever it is, you can go through and put that in. Now, what do I do with this? I get my side cutters in there and I go snip, and now my fuser's in tight. I don't have this big thing sticking out, and things are good to go. So with that, that's our tech tip of the day for putting things together. Sounds like I've got a phone call coming in over here, so it's time for me to go. So again, Steve Geishert with Parts Now, and this is your Parts Now Tech Tip.